everybody, I'm Hobson Lin. Since 1989, Vancouver Board of Education has set out rules to protect the community gardens on its property. The regulations you just saw unfortunately hinder the development of new gardens in the school district. As a result, school board employees have resorted to guerrilla gardening to provide their students with an exceptional gardening experience.
On Friday, I saw 5 caterpillars crawling on green leaves. On Thursday, I saw 4 black and yellow bumblebees collecting pollen from separate tulips. On Wednesday, I saw 2 yellow sunflowers growing in the bright sun. On Tuesday, I saw 2 big blue jays flying together in the sky.
To protect the identity of our next guest, whom of which is an employee of the school board, we have chosen to obscure the names and places involved in this interview.
We had a group of students whose main focus was actually composting. The vegetable garden was almost secondary to their desire to start school-wide composting. So we've started composting with the cafeteria waste. That's the small composter that you saw. And then sort of out of that came, well, we should have a vegetable garden to go with that, so we can turn the compost into that, and it just makes sense to have that sort of whole vision together. And one of our students did a waste audit, where she took all the garbage from the cafeteria and I believe a couple floors in the school, spread it all out on the front lawn of the school, went through it, and in September, these students, this is the environmental club, these students want to do grade-wide, all the grade-wide assemblies. They're going to do a presentation on waste that's produced by this school, which is a lot of waste, and how to teach the students about composting. So hopefully also trying to draw more students into the vegetable garden and composting.
Speaking of the recruitment of students, we have had the pleasure of meeting 2 local Vancouver elementary school students who are very enthusiastic about the gardens, both at school and at home.
Can you show me some strawberries? Ah, are they ready to eat yet?
I don't know, too small.
Oh.
What does it taste like? Nothing? No, come on, it tastes like something. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. It tastes sweet.
What do you grow in the garden at school?
Potatoes.
Uh-huh.
That we just harvest.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do with them after you harvested them?
My teacher made potato salad.
Oh, was that good?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what's growing here?
Tomatoes, basil, this is basil and that's tomato.
What is your job in this garden? You take out something in this garden. What is it?
I basically water it.
As you can see, these children are actively involved with their gardening and their experience is evident. But even with the support of students like them, school gardens still have many hurdles to overcome. One of them is summer maintenance.
A colleague of mine who started the courtyard garden that you saw has set up a watering schedule over the summer, and we also have summer school at Churchill, which is helpful, and the summer school principal is very supportive as well. And so we've got a sort of students that signed up, and some of the vegetable garden girls signed up as well. So every 2 days somebody will be watering, and so these kids have a real commitment to it, so they're willing to come all the way to school, water the garden. And so the summer school principal and then various garden club kids have signed on to water.
But we have a good leadership club, so the students here would just like to really help as well. And now I try to coordinate with the parents. I really work hard with the parents, because for those neighborhood parents, we want them to be the neighborhood watch, because this is highly vandalized.
The local contact, Dolores, told me that usually the first year of a project something gets vandalized. She kind of just said that's the way it is. It's almost like humans are dogs or something. When there's something new, they don't like it. And the beautiful courtyard garden that she built was vandalized last year by some grads, and only by I think 1 or 2 of them, and they were apprehended and dealt with. And this year hasn't been touched at all. And our vegetable garden, I mean, I've sort of been waiting for someone to come by and maybe rip them out or something, but so far, nothing. And so, I talked to the students that were involved in it, and I said, we have to be psychologically prepared that might happen, but so far, nothing's happened.
On the topic of vandalism, one of the requirements of the school board is a fence. In this next clip, our guerrilla gardener talks about her views on that requirement.
Well, I didn't actually know because I didn't ask anyone about building a vegetable garden. We had support from our administration. We got the funding from Evergreen, so I just thought, fine, we'll just build it. And when we ordered the dirt, that's when we found out we're supposed to build a fence, and I felt like I was entering into a Kafkaesque kind of experience, that I thought, just for some vegetables, I've got to build this, you know, several $1,000 fence, I can only imagine, that comes up to here, that even I could jump over if I so chose to do. And so I didn't really understand the purpose of the fence, and so I guess we haven't built a fence.
You mentioned that the fence would cost several $1,000s.
That's my understanding, yeah.
Now, how much did the actual garden cost?
Under $200.
Wow, $200? That is amazing. As you can tell, without the fencing, school gardens could be an affordable investment. Next up are some recommendations for the revision of our current guidelines, many of which have not been changed since 1999.
Well, I would recommend any policies that would really encourage the establishment of gardens adjacent to schools, because especially the primary students, but intermediates as well, gain so much from being really involved with the growth of plants and food products in particular. I think families and teachers speak about how removed children feel from the source of food, and an understanding of where it really comes from, and how to support its growth.
Well, I think I would ask them, I would ask them to do away with the fence. I think it's unaffordable, especially given the constraints that public schools are dealing with. I don't quite see the purpose. I mean, if you really wanted to keep vandals out, you would have to build it behind closed walls, by cement wall, behind cement walls. If someone really wants to vandalize something, as we know they will, I'm not sure a 4-foot fence really deters people bent on that kind of thing. So I would remove it completely. I think it hinders what we can do.
I guess my recommendation to make my work easier is I always believe in working with a community partnership, because for the most part, the landscaping part, the planning is a huge component. So I think we have to look at the professional partnership outside and what teachers could offer.
The parents who I have talked to who were involved at the beginning are very proud of the accomplishment. In particular, it's just a real thing of beauty because it's situated here at the edge of the big gravel field.
One of the things that I found really interesting is, when we started off, it's a small group of kids and myself, and then one of my colleagues came out into I wanted to show one of my colleagues, like, come look at the vegetable garden that the kids built, and he got really excited, and he actually grew up on a farm in France, and he said, well, I'm going to get my grade 9 communications class building more, because you can see down there we can fit in some more vegetable beds. And he got really excited. He said, we're going to make this a class project. So I thought, there's a teacher that's going to now bring it to a whole class. And I think these things snowball as people get interested. And we want to paint a mural on that kind of institutional gray wall that's behind the garden to kind of spruce it up, make a sign, so we could get an art class involved in that. We talked about maybe having some native grasses and things to kind of, make it look pretty as well. So I see a great sort of snowballing kind of community involvement from the school. If we keep going the way we're going with climate change and all the rest of it, that this might all have to be turned into a big vegetable garden. You see the track behind you. So those are my sort of dark apocalyptic moments. I think, gosh, there's such resistance to growing some vegetables, or it's being made so difficult just to grow some vegetables, and yet I think, like in World War II in England, they turned all the parks into vegetable gardens, right?
They did.
The Victory Garden. So I think that might be something.
Even here in Canada, I believe they did that during the war. There was there were extensive gardening programs
Stanley
here
Park,
to
I don't know,
help
Queen
people.
Elizabeth Park, you know?
Absolutely.
So I think that might be something we might be using these fields for sooner than we think.
I was reminded of my childhood in England, where we were encouraged to grow food. We were getting very short of food because we were being blockaded. And so gardening was encouraged. And so we were all involved. I had quite a large garden that I managed. And we learned about the chemistry of the soil, and we studied the germination of plants in school in relation to this gardening. But perhaps the most enjoyable part of it was the result of the harvest. When the community, and particularly all the capable women in the community, got together with the harvest and they bottled all of the produce. And so they would gather together in under farm sheds with huge cauldrons of fruit and turn these into jams and preserves. So when I heard of Susan's project with the Prince of Wales Schools, I was reminded of this and just thrilled at this initiative. And I think that you will find that yourselves, you are cementing your community by getting together and being gardeners and farmers. But then when it comes to the harvest, I think you'll be in for a very pleasant, great surprise when the community will gather around to eat and cook and preserve your harvest.
And I do have to tell you, I wish we could film it, was when the seeds first started coming up, one of the girls who was involved in planting the garden knelt down on the ground and stroked the little seedling that came up and was cooing over it like you would over a baby. And that almost, that really moved me.
I think what the children especially like are the little trails that go up through the vegetation, and that's just perfect for young children.
I also believe that the needs that we really have, that the answers are already there, because when we put together this garden, I think 90 to 100% of my students were excited. That was the right time, the right students, the right approach, and it just worked. It worked.
Yes, it did. And for many future projects, it will. With time and dedication, we can make Vancouver schools a far more sustainable learning experience. At this moment, we kindly ask you for your assistance in joining us for a transition into a more sustainable future. For sustainable gardens everywhere, I'm Austin Ware.